Hi guys, my name is Nicolette Mashile. I'm also known as the Financial Bunny. Welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. Have you been wondering what happened to Barloworld, Khula, Sizwe, shares or the BEE scheme? Well, I'm here to give you guys an update. But before I get into all of that, please do remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please do speak to somebody that is certified and registered with the FSCA. So before I get into it, first and foremost, if you are a Barloworld Khula Sizwe shareholder and you don't have an update, I am calling you out. Same way I'm calling myself out. And I'll tell you why I'm calling us out, right? So for those who may not know, or those who probably know, I lived in boarding school all my life, which was a very, very convenient excuse for my parents never, ever to come to parents' evening because it was far, first and foremost, for them to drive. And parents' evenings were always in the evening. So they just did not make sense, especially for us hostel kids, for our parents to be there, right? However, my father did make it to 2 meetings, which were very, very important. The one meeting, thank goodness, was prize giving. So yay, thank you for making it to that meeting. The second one was I had gotten myself into trouble because I was doing some very unscrupulous things on school grounds and my prefect badge was going to be taken. So my father had to be present in that meeting. It was the most embarrassing meeting of my entire life. But my father did make it to show the seriousness of the meeting. Now, somehow, I have adopted this very bad thing of not going to meetings. I own rental property, but somehow I just always miss the AGMs. On Tuesday, I had to attend a HOA meeting, and I really didn't want to be there. I have missed, I think, almost 3 years of HOA meetings. And now I just realized that I've also missed the AGM of the Khula Sizwe Barloworld BEE scheme. It was literally held on the 28th of February 2022 and I missed it. Yet I am a shareholder at Barloworld Khula Sizwe. This is not good, guys. And if you are one of those people who's also missed this meeting and you are a shareholder, we need to change our ways. If you are missing AGMs for your rental property, you need to change your ways because that's where decisions are made. I'm realizing that I don't even know who the chairperson or the board of directors is for Khula Sizwe. I don't know who the managing director is at Khula Sizwe. This is not good, guys. These are our shares. And I don't know if it's a thing of we want somebody else to take care of our money and we must sit and not take response. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, change your mind. Look, you don't have to do anything at the meeting. Just attend the meeting. I think it's very, very important. So this morning I woke up and I was like, hey man, I have so many scattered investments. I have coins. I have Barloworld, Khula Sizwe. I have Easy Equities. I have Standard Bank Group. I need to consolidate my investments because, or at least write them down somewhere because at this point, something may happen to me. Yes, guys, I'm in my dying phase. I feel like I'm speaking too much about death and I feel bad and I don't want my mouth to be the cause of my death. But I just feel like I need to get my things in order. So I just thought, you know what, let's give a recap of Barloworld. Now, if you go onto the Barloworld Khula Sizwe website, you will be able to get some of this information if you did miss the AGM. But let's maybe recap on what it is. So in 2019, Barloworld Khula Sizwe was kind of born. April, they opened up a calling to the black public to be able to buy Barloworld Khula Sizwe shares. So you could buy into this BEE scheme. The share price at that point was 10 Rand per share, and you could buy a maximum of 25 shares. I think it's 250 shares. So that was 2,500 that you could basically buy shares for, right? Now, there's obviously a lock-in period. It's a 15-year BEE scheme, but there's a lock-in period for 5 years. In other words, from 2019 up until 2024, you basically cannot trade those shares. There will be no dividends that you're going to be receiving, and they are letting the scheme because that's called the investment lock-in period. So after the year 5, which is year 6, in year 6, you're allowed to trade these, but you can only sell them to another black group or a black person because it is a black-owned BEE scheme and it's intentionally there to empower, right? So they will be listed on an alternative stock exchange where you'll be able to trade, so buy or sell. So you want to get out, you can get out. So right now there's no exit option unless you are in a situation where there is a death, where there's sequestration, or where there is insolvency, right? So they'll make provision for that. So we all bought these shares, or a majority of us bought these shares, and we became shareholders. So as a shareholder, you have a responsibility to attend the AGM and to just keep track of what's happening on the scheme, right? Each share entitles you to one vote. So if you have 250 shares, you can vote. You've got 250 votes, basically. That's what it says. I'm hoping that I'm interpreting that correctly, because again, Kipi here has not attended any AGMs, right? So I need to get it together. So basically, what was the actual scheme build up? The scheme was it bought it bought property that it then leased out to Barloworld, the group, right? It is a 10-year triple lease that was going to escalate at 8%. And obviously, if you think about it, it came in 2019. Then the next year, we went into a COVID period. So you can imagine the crisis that this board of directors was facing at the point. But somehow it was really resilient throughout the COVID, or the COVID period, rather, the lockdown, slowing down of the economy, and of course, just the general slowdown of commercial property. So it's actually done really well. And I was reading, I've read 2021's AGM notes and 2022's AGM notes, and I'm going to give you some of the things that have come up. Now, as I said, some of the things that I still don't know. I don't know what the current share price is, but of course, it probably wouldn't have a current share price that is publicly known, simply because you can't trade those shares at this point in time, right? So I think you would need to look at a different metric in terms of seeing whether the scheme is profitable or not. And I'm going to go through the document so that I can show you guys what are some of those figures and what they look like. The current chairman is Andile Mabizela. So Andile Mabizela is the current chairman of the Khula Sizwe Black broad-based Black Empowerment Scheme. Am I saying that correctly? I don't feel like I'm saying it correctly, but it's a BBBEE scheme, right? So yes, that's who is the chairperson of that scheme. So you can't. So remember, we spoke about there being a lock-in period. That means that for the 5 years that there is a lock-in period, there are no dividends that the scheme is going to pay out to shareholders. I know people keep asking me and sending me emails and saying, Nicolette, when is Khula Sizwe going to start paying dividends? It's not going to pay dividends for the first 5 years investment lock-in period. We've actually molded and we did this before Khula Sizwe. Our property stock file was kind of shaped like that, where we had a lock-in period where we're not paying dividends and we're just aggressively channeling money into investments. So where are they using some of the profits or the revenue that they are making? Well, they're using it to pay tax liabilities, operational costs. They've had to hire employees. So there's quite a lot. They've got a board of directors, so you've got to pay for director fees and all of those stuff. So there's quite a number of things. They also have an external loan. So remember, a portion of acquiring some of that property, it was a call out of publicly traded shares that they've sold to the black public and to management and to Barloworld black employees. And then remember, they had to go and take out a loan. So they've also got an external loan, interest, the loan that they have to pay back, obviously. So that's what they're doing in this next 5 years. So we're going to see how well they're going to do. Now, let me quickly just go to some of the stuff that is written here. The vote of thanks came from the chairman himself. He said, while the 2021 financial year has been challenging for Khula Sizwe, the board remains optimistic and it's in the opinion of the board that the company will continue to strengthen and grow. I would like to thank my fellow board members, our tenants, Barloworld Equipment, Beyond Mobility, AVs, and Barloworld Logistics divisions, and all other stakeholders and partners for their commitment and support to ensure that Khula Sizwe continues to grow in order to become a valuable investment for its shareholders in the future. Right, so let's quickly do the financial performance overview. Ending 20, why is it not moving? It ended 2021 September. The revenue in 2020 was 235 million. In 2021, 435 million. That's the revenue, right? So that's now total cost. It's total amount that was received. This is before you start subtracting any costs that are involved, right? Interest that was received in 2020 it was 7 million. In 2021, it's 4 million. Interest that was paid out, 2020, 111 million. In 2021, 158 million. So you can see that we've paid more interest in 2021, but we received less interest in 2021. Right. Now, I say we because I am a shareholder, right? A fair value adjustment on investment properties in 2020, 285 million, 2021, 59 million. Net profit after tax, 2020, 303 million, 2021, 201 million. And I think that's just a sluggish economy that is trying to recover, right? Earnings per share in 2020, 556 cents. So that's 5 rand and 56. In 2021, 370 cents, 3 rand 70, right? What is the financial positioning of the scheme currently? The net asset value is of 1 billion rand. Solid solvent and liquidity position. Borrowing levels increased following the conclusion of acquiring the properties from Barloworld. Remember, they had to buy some of those properties from Barloworld, and then Barloworld became their tenants. Funding capacity of the company remains healthy with 1 property that is outstanding. So in essence, the scheme is doing really well. But obviously, you would need to really be involved in getting an understanding. And I think some of these things, for some of us who are not finance people, some of these things can really get confusing. So I think it is important to make sure that you are essentially, you care about these things because this is your money, you know. When they talk about all of these, your money also bought these properties. So it is important to make sure that you are part of whatever is happening. And I think I just want to quickly read some of the stuff on the cash flow statement. Is cash generated from operating activity significantly up on last year due to the rental collection of 63 properties. So they're collecting from 63 properties. The net cash used in investment activities of 272.6 million relates to the acquisition of properties from Barloworld, which corresponds with the increase on financing activities of 235 million. The above resulted with the cash on hand of 132.3 million to pursue Khula Sizwe's investment strategy. So again, if you don't go to the AGMs, you don't read any of the stuff that they send out, it means that you potentially don't know what the investment strategy is. I too do not know what the investment strategy is. The only fault that I think I would give them is the fact that they don't communicate, if we're going to be fair. They really don't communicate. I mean, they send 2 emails about the AGM and the whole year it's been quiet. I'm also not seeing any news articles that are being written about Khula Sizwe. And I guess maybe they don't have a marketing strategy. There's no reason to have a marketing strategy right now. I do think they do need as somebody who's an honors graduate in the communication. In fact, I'm an honors graduate in integrated organizational communications. And I think that they need to communicate a little bit better to their shareholders. But if you do go on the website, and I'm not gonna be sitting here and lying on them, right? They've got voting results, they've got annual financial statements, they've got AGM notice, presentation of the AGM. So there's many things that you can open. There's also a link to the actual AGM that you can go out there and watch. Let's see. I'm trying to open it. Okay, let's skip ads. So the AGM took all of 33 minutes. Interesting. So as I said, if you go onto the website of Khula Sizwe, you will also find a link to where you can actually watch the AGM. Now, the chairperson also spoke about the fact that there are people who are shareholders, but they have not been allocated units because of information that is just missing. So if you are somebody that is you paid money into their bank account, but you haven't really received, and you're not receiving communication in terms of, I think the biggest thing is if you did not receive any information about the AGM, so go through your email, what's the English word? Aibo, that English word. But what I'm essentially saying is check your email inbox and check if you even received any communication around the AGM. If you didn't, you probably are not listed as a shareholder, but you may have paid your money in there. So those funds are unallocated, which means that the units are actually unallocated to specific people or groups. So I think it is important to make sure that you are checking that out, because you may be sitting here thinking you're a shareholder, kanti Vietmos. I don't need to tell you the worst part of that whole conversation. Yeah. So who actually holds Barloworld shares? They're held by a management trust. They're held by Barloworld Black employees, and they're held by 30% of Black public in South Africa. So the 30%, I'm not a Barloworld management, I'm not Barloworld employee, but I am the public. So I fall into that 30%. You and me fall into that 30%. And I think that we have a responsibility if we want to see this scheme really be successful. Part of our responsibilities is to attend the AGMs. I think part of our responsibilities is to hold the board of directors accountable, and it starts with having information and actually knowing what it is that we're talking about. So I think it is very important that a majority of us now start to rally behind our money. Gone are the days where you can just put money into something and hope to God that something great is going to happen. It is part of our job. How will you know what decision to make when it comes to year 6 after this lock-in period? Will you know whether it's a good investment for you to be able to sell, or will it be, will you know whether it's a good investment for you to hold, or will you sell because you don't think it's a good investment because maybe it didn't pay dividends, but you are not aware of the fact that it was never going to pay you dividends in that first 5 years. So I think it is important for us to stay abreast of the updates that we're getting, and that starts with us actually attending the AGM of these types of schemes, because we turn around when these schemes are not successful or they disappoint us, but the disappointment is based on lack of knowledge, So just a mere knowing who the board of directors is important. It's absolutely pertinent if we want to become successful investors. Because at the end of the day, Barloworld Khula Sizwe belongs to us. 30% of it belongs to the Black public. 32% of it belongs to Barloworld Black employees. And 38% of it, and 38% of it belongs to management. So it is important that we rally behind the people that are put in those positions to be able to take care. So what is the investment strategy of Barloworld? What are their moves? What is the outlook for the year? Next year, we're going to sit again in another AGM. Will you attend that AGM? Are you interested in where your money is sitting and how it's actually going to work for you? I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.